Man, so we went for the SIDS event on Monday. The opening of the Seed Fest. How was your experience for the reception dinner? Walk us through like what do we do first and all that.
Okay, it started. Even though the opening ceremony was supposed to be 6 to 9.
Yeah.
But then after that, when we reached there at like, I think close to 7, not even half the seats were filled. So it's like, oh, okay lah. Then we are not that late lah.
Yeah.
Then after that, so we sat down. Then you brought me to introduce different people in the industry. Then after that, I so happened to see my polytechnic lecturer there as well. Then after that, he introduced me to the director of the Temasek Poly Design School. Then together with NAFA's director also. Then after that was the opening ceremony where the president, the chairman, the secretary. Then after that, the MP also gave their speeches. Then after that, there was a dialogue between one of the industry member, the secretary itself and herself, and the MP. Yeah. Then the whole conversation was about like what's the future of AI in relation to interior design, and how does a potential collaboration with government authority to use design to improve wellness, improve mental well-being and things like that, or basically in general how to improve the life of the society. Then after that, the most crucial one was mealtime, our dinner buffet. Yeah. Then after that, during eating time, just chit-chatting with our table. Then after that, you have different suppliers coming in like Amira, Kasambi. Then after that, just get to know each other, take each other's name card. Then after that, mingle with other tables and then just chill around. Yeah. For an introvert like me, it was overwhelming at the start.
I can imagine so.
Yeah. So and you are more extroverted. Then I'm more introverted. Yeah. I didn't, because I was waiting for you to come. I didn't dare to step in. I'll just wait for you. No matter how long you take, right? I'll just wait for you. You want to come in 8 p.m, I also wait for you until 8 p.m. Yeah, then after we came in already, then after you just kept saying, you don't go anywhere, you don't run anywhere. Then after the moment I put down my coke only, right, you're like, no, you pick back up. I want to introduce to the president, to this supplier, this company. Like, after the whole event, right, yeah, after there was a round 2, I was like, I told her, I am so tired. Then after I on the way back home, because I have to walk to the MRT, I was like, it was very fruitful because get to know different people from the industry, and potentially because my end goal is to become a lecturer. So I met different lecturers, different tutors down there, then exchange name cards here and there. But to go for round 2, I would love to.
Tired.
But I think my social battery was done.
So SIDS, which is the Society of Interior Designers Singapore, to you is more of giving back in terms of education. Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's an amazing platform for you. Yeah. Like we always say, you should get yourself accredited. Because everyone then knows each other. Then we live by a certain code in terms that if we serve customers and clients, we have to be top notch. Having a smear on our reputation is not nice, especially in a small industry with many peers. We all have a reputation to upkeep. So SIDS, to me, we keep ourselves in check with our professional standard, continuous. So as you know, our society's mission is also raising the barrier to entry to the market. That's for the business side. And also bridging education and workforce capabilities for students, which are both very important. Because the only way you can change this is definitely start with the people who are up and coming, our juniors, right? And a lot of people don't get accredited for the wrong reasons, because they will say, they look at things like, if I am so in this community and everyone knows what I'm doing, right, then I will be held accountable for certain things. So if they start to think of it in this kind of mindset, maybe they are not doing professional things enough. They're not doing things professional enough. So for me, was always about raising the barrier to the market. It's been spoiled by a lot of people who are not even trained, and they call themselves ID, and that's the cause that I'm actually championing for at SIDS. Yeah, the event was fun, lah. You know, I can recall my very first time. It was a Chinese New Year luncheon. So there was a lo hei, and there were quite a few foreigners at my table. So same thing like you. We went there early, but I had no one to speak to. I had no idea who was who at all. So I went to the reception table. I said, hey, can you introduce me to someone who is noteworthy? Then the first person I spoke to was a bathroom supplier. And then another material supplier, I think. And then it became the advisor, then chairman of this, chairman of that, then president. Yeah, so at that point of time, I was just giving out name cards like free. Right? And during the dinner, I was just very loud. I was just making jokes and random things, telling these foreigners, the lo hei, you must throw it as high as you can to get the better luck. Yeah, so I was just very loud, just laughing. And naturally, people thought I was already part of that society for a long time. When I was just being playful me. But I substantiated it with at least 6 to 7 cups of coffee. It was free flow.
But how do you bring yourself to be this loud in a foreign place?
Okay, because our goals are pretty much the same. That's why we are there. Caliber-wise, I have nothing to say. Of course, I'm the most junior. I do not dare to go and think that I'm better than everyone. However, they're all still humans. Have you ever gone to a class reunion of your design school?
No.
Okay, so when I went for mine, they were always talking about, of course, shop talk lah, right? They always talk about what's wrong with design, what's wrong with contractors, and I get bored after a while. And you can imagine at upper levels, if they are going to an event like that and everyone starts to shop talk, then it becomes a boring place. So I come in with the more human element. Like two seats down, I was seated with this tile supplier. And then someone walked past and said, hey, your car outside, very nice, wow, spider, blah, blah. Then I went to him, hey, boss man, hey, I also want to drive Ferrari, can teach. Don't worry, you can make it one. Based on how you speak to me, I look at you, you sure can make it one. You just be patient. You know? Then we kept in touch. So you make a friend. And in some ways, a mentor. Someone who can give you advice if you ever feel like you're not progressing anywhere in life. So, like the cards you receive, normally I will just send them a text, either on the night before or the next morning, just to hammer in the relationship, make sure they remember you. So yeah, that's how I do it. And just know that there is no lack of skill for anyone. Everyone is good, but maybe a lack of exposure. So I think having a lot of social exposure when I was younger does help with these things as you move up. But also don't be too guarded, because there are people that I've met who used to tell me, just show me your true self. Don't have to be polite to me. And now I understand why. Because only when our guard is down can we truly bond. Yeah, if it's not like, oh, I always pour drink for you, we keep all these pleasantries aside.
And it's also, I think, being true to yourself, right? It lets the other person know what kind of person you are. And to me, they always say 友情. I feel like a lot of times, in businesses or even in design specifically, I feel like from the client to the consultant's point of view, is there should always be a form of trust. If there's no trust at all, no matter how much you give discount lah or cost friend lah, all this kind of stuff, there won't be 100% trust in it. But I always believe that if let's say a person trusts you, if let's say I meet you in on the streets, right, and both of us in the same industry, right, I won't talk to you about design first. I won't talk about collaborating with you or doing business with you, because first of all I need to know who you are as a person. Only then only when you are friends with that person, then you say, okay, this person's character is okay. Can I trust? Let's do. Honestly, it will be a much comfortable and smooth process. Okay, then the other thing is back to the accreditation. So for client's point of view or for anybody renovating, right? This whole idea of the SCDS is like what you mentioned, to raise awareness to raise the barrier for entering into the industry. But from a client's point of view, right, how do this accreditation 1, 2, and 3 determine who you should find during your renovation, or to tell the audience what are the accreditation of 1, 2, and 3?
Okay, so 3 starts from, I believe, either fresh grads or do not have education in this field. Of course, 2 will be some level of education, and I think 1 has the highest, maybe masters. That's for education. But I think they also tie down to their years in the industry. So portfolio, and you have to submit your portfolio and years to get accredited by the council itself. So you have a big panel of professionals looking at your work, and then they'll determine what rank you get. But about the public, I mean, we can't stop you. We can't tell you choose this person, choose that person. The onus falls on you to go and do research on who you're hiring. But if I were to give advice, hire someone from SIDS. Because as I mentioned earlier, it's about the professionalism that we need to keep for ourselves and give to you. And we hold each other accountable. So where else are you going to find another body like that? Case Trust? I don't know.
Okay, so comparing to like all your case trusts or a lot of these ID platforms, they have this verified.
Yeah.
So comparing to accreditation and all these case trusts, what do you think is the key difference between these two?
Okay, case trust falls on businesses to acquire. Whether the individual employee has case trust or not, we have no idea. We will never know. But as SIDS, you already have a panel of professionals already give you your grade. And can you imagine if you do something so horrible, you are just going to be struck off. And that reputation and stain will be with you forever. And okay, even for our platform, we also have awards. So you submit your project for awards. So the awards are not just based on aesthetics. So you need to submit your entire documentation. So you can't buy those awards. It's not like SME 500 or Golden Bull, or sponsor a few grand, you go on stage and take a prize. We are not full of this bullshit. We need merit. Yeah. And without doing good work, you can not be prominent. So that is the honor that we live by. So that's the difference between Case Trust and SIDS. It's really for the client to go and do their research and find out what benefits there are hiring someone from our side. So it's good that they're also moving it into the schools and to educate young people to walk the right path. I mean, as a student yourself in school, I'm sure they put you on some internships.
Mhm.
Do you feel that there was a skill gap the moment you graduate and move on to the workforce?
I think it's more perspective and the things that you learn outside that is the gap. Because for schools wise, also depending on what kind of school you go to. If let's say you're talking about diploma wise, then the things that they teach you, the syllabus, right, will be more on fundamentals, just to teach you and bridge the gap from O levels, N levels, or all the way until you enter poly, that gap. But when you go into university, where they start to teach you more abstract, more conceptual, more philosophical, then the things that you are learning comparing to a polytechnic will definitely be different. But one very important key is experience. When you're out in the industry, there will definitely be things where the school doesn't teach you. How to handle clients, technical aspect of renovation, procedures of renovation, all this kind of stuff. So to me, yes, it was a very big jump. I was basically thrown into the industry because when I graduated, it was COVID. Yeah. So the only experience I had, was maybe through internships. But internships, generally, most of the time, you are quite guarded. Like, okay, you tell me do what? Do what? Like, they, most of the time, they won't really give you much of the bigger design of things unless you are in this very big company, then sure, you're part of the team. But if not, other than that, in a small company, right, pretty much you also do everything inclusive of maybe meeting client. Meeting client, all these are things that you don't learn in school. One thing I want to ask is, as creative as designers, do you ever have imposter syndrome?
Definitely after a while, you start to not be so captivated by your own work anymore. Like the wows that you get from your client, to you, it does feel like another Tuesday. That is the kind of imposter syndrome I receive. And when I have comments like, oh, this project is done so beautifully, the craftsmanship is amazing, I end up just feeling, thank you, yeah, it's my job. But we don't say that, right? We're like, indeed, you have a very beautiful space. I would even give like 5 stars or so. But deep down, we do feel the imposter syndrome, But I think that's a good thing, because if your baseline naturally is good work, then you know that you have raised your bottom line. Right? The saying, we always fall to our preparation. That means in times of stress, we always perform where we last prepared for, rather than what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like going to the gym. Yeah, if you consistently carry like 50 kilos, yeah, in the event that you need to carry someone or something, you got 50. You know you got 50. It's not like, oh, I know I can do 80. Ugh.
But if let's say someone having imposter syndrome, then wouldn't it be sad that, no matter how much other people think your work is amazing, right, you will still feel that it's not good?
If you do something so repetitive, then perhaps yes. So you have to push yourself by discovering new materials, using new details. Only then can you escape the imposter syndrome. But if you are like the cookie cutter template, cut and paste, wabi sabi, Japandi forever, then the imposter syndrome likely will come to you very quickly. So continuous improvement and research. Remember, we spoke about this before. Before we start anything, you must do some research, right? And if the client is more towards trendy things happening, we should always try and interface some new elements. I think that can help get rid of the imposter syndrome. Do you feel the imposter syndrome?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Same way.
I think it's for me is comparing myself to renowned designers. Deep down, it's like you know that definitely you cannot compare to these kind of people because they have years of experience and maybe they are just pure creative. Like it's just something in them that their genes that makes them very, very creative. But I cannot help but still feel that way. That no matter what I do, I keep telling myself like, is it I'm not meant for this industry? Yeah. That's why it takes like a toll. Like really, like basically going to this kind of events, to me is, wow, shit, I'm nobody.
Me neither, man. Me neither. So, it built on your strength, lah. Always build on your strength. I definitely am not the best designer. I'm definitely not the best builder. I could be the loudest person there. I could know the most amount of people there, have the most friends there. To me, that is enough for me already. And I built my confidence based on that. But if you're going very specifically into design-wise, definitely you need to increase your repertoire. So a lot of these people, they have very big material libraries. We only have the basic materials. So being more well-traveled, I wouldn't say read and study lah. Okay, maybe that is something you need to do, but not too much. I think you need to travel, meet more international designers, check out the new materials. Then you do your own study and interfacing. Then when you can come up with your own new details here, you can be the one starting a trend. So it will be bogged down eventually, like, do I have the time to go? Do I have the headspace to go and build the library? That is the part where you need to balance between your business and you as an individual professional.
Speaking about introvert and extrovert, right? If you have to choose one, obviously finding the balance is the best. But if you have to choose one, right, would you rather be a person who is not good in your skills but very good at selling, comparing to a person who is very good in his skills, right, but not good in selling?
I would rather be with the person who is better in selling and not so good at the skill.
Why?
Because let's just say that everyone has a role. And that's very important. We need to identify that there is no one or another that is better. And there are no lack of talent. Really no lack of talent. Everyone is talented in their own design ways. You just need more eyeballs, like I said. So if you as an individual are maybe not that good at selling, it's fine. Get people to sell your work for you. Nothing wrong with that. Then you can really focus on the creative side. So imagine it's someone taking away time that you need to go and master your disadvantages, taking away from you and just pumping you with more time, more resources for you to go and improve your creativity and your design quality. So we have to learn that we all cannot be good at everything. And when I started this business, I also kind of thought about it, like I cannot be the best designer in the world. I can't be the best builder in the world. But I can be the fastest, most resourceful.
With quality?
Yes, fastest, most resourceful, and with quality. These are intangible. This is service based. So let's just say you can improve on these three things. people being better designers might not be able to produce better work. So why the imposter syndrome?
I still remember during the event itself, because I told the lecturers that I want to become a lecturer as well in the future. But the problem is I feel that I may not be good enough to teach or experienced enough to teach the next generation of designers. And then after they said this one thing, when do you graduate? 2015. Yeah, that's 10 years. Then? Yeah. So I think it's really a lot about my internal battle with myself.
You see, the key to education, in my opinion, is not about how good you are. It's about understanding what they lack and what society demands, and you come in to fill that gap. So using your own initiative, your own idea of how to make their life better to fill this gap. It's not about who is more well-learned or who got PhD, who got double degrees. It's not important anymore. If you can train these young people to have an easier transition into the workforce, you're already more than successful. So be very micro about how we should see our value. Yeah, you cannot cover the whole spectrum. But if we are good at a certain point where we make students better, that's good enough.
Your objective are met lah.
Yes. That's the whole point of education. Right? So like in school, we naturally gravitate towards the professors that we like and that we resonate with. Right? And topics that are interested in. Like for me, it was MAE design. Because that's what it really is. And not just structure and aesthetics. Right? The whole building has to function, living, breathable space. The way you put the rainwater collection, where's the tank, where's the pump, where we do the dry riser, and those are really practical, real life things that we learned in school. So let's just say this professor is very good at doing regulatory, and then this professor comes in and teaches about floor loading in terms of packs, occupancy, and weight. So you just need to be good at one topic, right? So you don't really have to be good at everything. And we had professors who are full-time, and then of course we had professors who are practicing in their own firm and they come and teach on the side. So just pick your niche. How was critique sessions for you in school?
If I'm confident of my work, then easy game. But the problem is when I'm not confident in my work, right? It's very obvious. Because like last time in poly, whenever there will always be a few group of students, right? That whenever they are going to present, the whole class, right? Suddenly, right, will focus on, because they want to hear what you have to share. But the moment they crumble, right, and they are not confident, right? Shit is very, very, very obvious. So speaking of, like you mentioned, you always have a favorite lecturer. For me, my favorite lecturers or the type of lecturer are those that care more about storytelling, more conceptual. Sometimes even giving me the assurance, right, or the validation that, it's okay. You may not always have to only do architecture or interior design. You can even cross-discipline, right, all the way to maybe say graphic design, all this kind. And there will be one or two lecturers, right, that no matter how crazy your ideas, right, they will like one. And they say, can, no problem. Like they don't care whether practical or not. Just explore your creativity. So for me, I feel in school, yes, fundamentals are important. but it's also a place where you are safe to explore as crazy as you can. What about you?
So critic sessions for us, usually 16 lecturer panel, and with students from year 1 to year 3 if they are interested. And the panel is also different year professors coming together to listen to your crit. So I was always been a maybe BC student. So I did minimum plus. Okay, I wouldn't say bare minimum plus. Okay, documentation, I only did like the recommended minimum amount of pages required. So it was always the final presentation board lah. We have like 8 times A1 or A1 if I'm not wrong, with the full mounting board and the graphic. I always try and sell something that is crappy, but make sure it's sold lah. Right? So even though the documentation says, hey, this thing, wow, dance theater, nice render, I use Revit or render, documentation, technical drawings, blah, blah, blah. Write a nice storyline on that thing on the foam board. I will try and oversell it. And like you said, some professors, they see your ability to sell and they grade you based on that. Others who are more technical, they will just pick up your file, flip through, but this is shit. Yeah. So critic sessions for me is always holding the mic and handshaking.
Your mic, because it's a 6.
Yes, it's like a mini auditorium. So my hands will be shaking. But after 5 minutes into trying to force people to swallow your story, you naturally become more confident. Right? So we oversell. Actually, that's the most fun part about school for me, the critic sessions. It's already a big test of your mettle, your stomach, and your ability to take criticism. Because for me, my file got thrown, and then some of the panels, they come up to your model, look, they purposely like just break a bit and say, this wasn't done properly. And then you have people coming to your foam board. Hey, this doesn't make sense. Yeah, but now we're older, we can ask ourselves, are they doing it for the sake of doing it? Or are they really critiquing you? But the end result is still the same. You must be able to take that criticism, because the working world is not going to be kind to you, man. A cancel order means a refund. Money is going to be involved, time is going to be involved, your emotions are going to be involved. So design school, the biggest takeaway I got was from these gruesome critique sessions. And there are people who freeze up during their presentation, and they are good students. And then there are people who cry. And I don't know how they're doing right now. But all I can say is it kind of helped me build extra layer of skin.
So speaking about design school itself, right? Because design is always subjective, creativity is subjective. What do you think the value is for a lecturer to create you, and how important it is, right, for us to do well in school? Like, do we determine somebody's design or person as a designer bad because they were bad in school? Or are lecturers only just looking to, like, say, to instill like, say, for example, discipline, or how tough, or prepare you for the real world? Because in school, I believe, right, there will always be students who will say, I draw until like that, I design until like this, but the lecturer don't like. I mean, design is subjective, ma. Why my grades are shit? What do you think about it?
Number one, effort doesn't equate to results. That one we need to understand. And during these sessions, these professors, they have been with you the whole year. So they kind of know how much effort you've been putting through because you have to do a joint consultation
That's
session,
true.
right? Yeah. So they know exactly the effort and the evolution of your idea. It's a year-long project, right? Secondly, when you go through the documentation, because what you have presentation, everyone can Photoshop the damn thing so beautifully. But when it comes to documentation, they will see, oh, how your idea evolved. But for me, right, it was always the first part of the year, like cartoon drawing. Then suddenly later part of the year, wow, so developed. So they know that something happened in between. But if you do not write it down, they will probably think like you're going to copy something or whatever it is. So that's how they look at you. And I really feel that like I said earlier, it doesn't matter whether they are really critiquing you or not, because this is what the real world is. And someone needs to be the Simon Cowell of the group. Someone has to, right? This is what I call a holistic education, right? I'm sure after the critique, you got lecturer come and sayang you also have.
Okay.
Yeah, but a panel of 16 is no joke, man. I can tell you.
That's for architecture school.
It's mad. It's mad. And they don't tell you how to go and do your project, how to go and do your presentation. For us, like we will wait till the end, right? Then we will burn like late nights for like a few weeks to churn the thing out. So also it teaches us self-management. Do you want to live a life as a designer of always doing things late at night? Or are we able to discipline and pace ourselves even though inspiration doesn't strike? Can we work on another part of the project?
Then what do you think about lecturers tearing up your work because it's shit?
You know it's shit, right? So to you, right, you shouldn't put too much value on that piece of paper. Right? End of the day, you're going to graduate. That's the thing that you need to care about. The final transcript and the embossed piece of certificate.
But imagine you worked overnight while you torn for 48 hours just to produce that drawing, right? That is your concept. And then the lecturer just tore that 48 hours worth of work. How do you think that will impact the current generation of students?
Well, as we heard from lecturers these days, they mentioned they're a bit more sensitive. But still go through it. Still go through it. Don't take it as a form of abuse. Because it really makes us stronger. Can you imagine the drawings that we used to produce that take us 48 hours? Now we can do it in less than a day. So keep going at it, have perseverance, do more repetitions. You'll be fine. That's just the beginning. It's like a jump start. Put 2 cables on your nipples and make you wake up and prepare you for the outside world.
Okay, in terms of design awareness or design appreciation in Singapore, do you think Singaporeans appreciate design?
You have to solve problems. You definitely have to solve problems. For example, if my client has a problem with overbooking customers, you definitely need to provide him enough space. So when you relate our work to more than just design aesthetics, that's where the real meaning comes in. And when you solve problems like that, you won't feel the imposter syndrome. You fulfill a need that they themselves couldn't solve in the first place. And it could be unique to you, because a good designer doesn't mean he's able to solve these problems.
So you're saying as designers, it's not just about aesthetic.
100% not. You need to get paid for what you're doing, right? So the only reason why a customer will pay you is because you have solved a problem, or a set of problems, or you have helped them averted more problems. So we are more than just pen and paper, right?
Problem solvers.
Yes, you have to be a realistic problem solver. Like, I'm sure a lot of my Aki friends, they don't get to be Zaha Hadid of today's world.
Mm.
Might not even happen. So it takes a lot than just being good at design. A lot more. And people relationship is, as you said, not something that we learn from school. You have to go and figure it out yourself. Whether you have it or not, it's another story. So, like I said, everyone needs to go through those harsh critic sessions. Get ready to get your paper torn up and your model destroyed. Okay. It's bittersweet memories to look back upon.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
But during that time, it was painful.
No, last time we would just tell each other, hey, be a man. Hey, have some balls, man. Just do this. Yeah, we encourage each other that way.
So you mentioned like in designers, right? Yeah, most of us we look up to a figure in the industry itself, right? And
Yeah.
we want to be inspired by them. So you mentioned like some people would aspire to be like Zaha Hadid. If you have a role model who or an architect in mind, right? Yeah, who will it be? Or
Miss
what
Van der
kind?
Rohe.
Oh,
I like the very delineated, clean look.
with a lot of details.
Yes.
If you have to choose, what kind of projects would you like to touch on? There's something you have not done.
Okay. So big spaces is a minimum. Big spaces meaning you can play with geography. That's where real design comes in. You have structural challenges. If you want to dig a basement, the project just became double the complexity. How are we going to run all the plumbing? That is the fun part. But if you're doing like individual units and whatnot, then if you're just, in a very crude sense, slapping wallpaper on a wall and trying to fill things up. So I guess the progression would be to do individual units. Then we move on to commercial. Then we move on to like landed areas, factory spaces, houses. I think that's the progression.
So you find joy in doing the technical aspect of building.
Of course, because then you get to deal with different challenges of geography. For example, if the ground is moist, or even if you have a river flowing underneath, wow, beautiful. You can work with that. If it's by the beach, what can we do? There's so many things rather than 4 walls and to plaster with what finish.
So for you, it's more of how we can bring the surrounding context
Yes,
into
100%.
the space itself to blend the architecture 100%. With nature.
It's like how you wake up in the morning, you look out the window, what do you see? That is like small detail but very important. Like you live in some hotels in some cities where you open the window, it's like the aircon compressor.
Yes.
Hong Kong, what the aircon compressor, then you open the window, damn hot. Yeah, so we don't want to deal with things like that.
For me, it's more of the narrative. Like, you see, for example, how we feel entering into a space. Are we going to deal with just a bit of light coming into the space, right? What kind of emotion, what kind of psychology do you want to convey to the person who is using? The other one is also more of what's the social context behind it. For me, actually, I've always been very interested to do social well-being. Like whether is it for elderly, for disability, more of trying to understand and be sensitive to their lifestyle. And then from there, using that sensitivity, right, to use design and make their life better. To me, I think is what makes design impactful and meaningful.
It's more on the user-driven.
Yeah.
User-driven.
But because all this, right, it has a story to tell on its own. Right, as comparing to just aesthetic-wise, you just want your space to be modern, be Scandinavian, all this kind. But all this generally, I feel lack a story. Yes, you can incorporate lifestyle, an owner's lifestyle into the space. But how are we going to transform the things around them? Even if let's say just a table and chair, and adapt into their life. Or in the other sense, I said it in my previous episodes, right? How we're going to nurture and sort of alter the way consumers use the space, right? Just purely by using design. I think that is what makes design so interesting.
So I think you'll be more suited for public spaces, exhibition
I would
halls.
enjoy, because I like to deal more with, or I wish to deal more with psychology, human psychology. Like they always, this one simple example that my lecturer during university said it, right? Until now, I still remember very clearly. If you have a crossroad, right, and then there's a grass patch, why do people, right, always cut to? If let's say if it's a clean grass, you notice nobody walk through. Means like everything is grown nicely, right? Nobody walk through. But the moment, right, there is one bald patch, right, you see everybody just take a bath. So what is the psychology behind just having grown grass and you not maybe wanting to kill the grass, comparing to a bald spot, right? Everybody walk, I also walk.
Like Aljunied MRT lah.
A lot of places.
Right, yeah.
Or it's like even if let's say roads, we have the, those green barriers, right? Yeah. The moment you have one barrier, like say missing, everybody will just think that. What is the psychology behind it? Yeah, so I've always been very intrigued with the way humans behave and then how we can use design either to alter the way they behave, or if not, right, it's understanding human and then design accordingly.
I think those resort projects will be very suited for you lah.
I would love to.
Anyone wants to sponsor us a land for resort
Overseas.
development?
Overseas also can.
Yes. No problem. Bali, please, anyone?
Yeah, it's like what kind of experience, right, you want people to feel the moment they open up the window. Like if it's a resort, how do you want people to feel comfortable? Or even the simplest one, dealing with lighting, dealing with sunlight, dealing with shadows. What kind of emotion? All this is something that I believe more architectural side. But yeah, it's something that I've always wanted.
When the moment we talk about these things, I always think of our geographical challenges. Open to sea, heavy winds, rains, saltwater, surface runoff. Wow, how do we combat or actually integrate with nature?
There's one project that I think it was in India. There's two projects in India that actually until now I remember quite clearly. It's first one is a building for the blind. The entire architecture, the interior wise, right, they basically deal with all the other senses except for sight. It's a full circle. Every side of the building walls, right, are textured differently.
Oh,
so when
nice.
they walk, right, they will feel, okay, vertical texture means I am either on the either side of the longer corridor. The moment they reach to the top and bottom portion, right, it becomes horizontal. That's when they will using touch, right, they will know, okay, I've reached either corner.
Right.
Then after that, right, they open up the air wells and stuff like that, and then they incorporated different types of plants with different smell. So in, let's say, for example, maybe one of the rooms, maybe they use lavender. By having that smell, right, they'll know, okay, lavender smell, I'm in this room. And then from there, right, they'll say, oh, if let's say maybe they entered the wrong space, right, they'll know where. They'll know where they have to to go. And then after that, the ceiling height of the corridors, right, are all in different heights. So by them using the guide to walk, right, and then knock, the echo bounces, right, and you will tell them where they are also. The other one is more on sustainability. The other project. They had an abundance of clay. And because it gets very, very hot there, so how do they cool down the interior of the building, right, without using air conditioning? They mold all the clays into circular shape, into a cylinder.
Right.
Then after that, they run a pipe, and the pipes, right, will drip water every, I don't know, second. After the clay is cooled down by the water, right, all the hot air goes through the cylinder, and naturally, right, the people inside, right, will receive a colder air. To me, that is like what's so beautiful about design is, first of all, you make use of what's abundance, or you study the land, you study the environment, the nature itself, right? And you use all these elements and incorporate it into a space. And then whether it's for social well-being, like the blind project, and or this one, where it's about sustainability. Yeah.
So very nature, physics driven kind of inner design. Okay. That would be meaningful, because I think a lot of people these days, they just stick to glass, concrete, and metal. Yeah, it's abundant, but why not have something more befitting? Like I said, the geography is very important, taking care. But when we look at projects like that, we also think about the social economic responsibility, where we have to hire people of the area who have the skill to construct these things as well. Yeah.
I think it's also based culture-wise, right? It's actually very, very important also. Like we say, okay, we want to
Indian
use.
people cannot do carpentry lah. That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's like in Singapore context, right? Yes, you want to do with land, with nature, all this, right? Sure, but it's usually more towards the landed property side. But most of us in Singapore live in HDB, so a lot of times your toilet you cannot change. Yeah. So I also understand that most of the time, you'll be more lifestyle driven.
Yes.
But there's also so much that you can do, because your living room is your living room. Cannot be you convert your living room into your. No, you can, like you say, you cannot convert your kitchen into your bedroom.
Yep.
It can, but you must deal with it, and it's weird.
Right.
Then say, for example, for tight spaces like Hong Kong, the square foot per unit is already so small. So culturally, right, in terms of design, how do you design a small space where you get to have a lot of multi-purpose elements? Yeah. So culture driven design, I think, to me, is quite interesting also.
So I feel as a designer, we shouldn't just be stuck here. We should go outside, explore the world, explore opportunities, give ourselves a learning chance. Because how often will people give it to you? You got to figure it out for yourself. So that being said, unless you have very wealthy clientele, if not, go to another country where it matters, where these things have more value than what they have. Because the same thing here, four walls, your unit layout is just like this. To them over there, they have a market segment where they believe basic house building should just be squares and whatnot. So, and it's cheaper to execute a project there. So definitely, we should find more opportunities to get out.
Have you done architectural trips before? Like solely you travel to explore the architecture in overseas?
It's part of the itinerary lah. It isn't a full itinerary on design. I don't think it's too much of a passion for me. But I would love to do one with my fellow learned fellows.